The hospital lights flickered softly as Ethan Cole sat outside the operating room, staring at the trembling hands that had just signed away his kidney. He wasn't rich, not even close. Just a 37-year-old single dad who worked 2 jobs to raise his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. He didn't know the woman he was saving, didn't even see her face. All he knew was that someone out there was dying, and his kidney was the only match. The doctors told him it was risky. He could lose his job, his health, maybe even his chance to keep up with his little girl. But when Lily had asked, "Dad, if you can help someone live, why wouldn't you?" he didn't have an answer. So he said yes. 3 weeks later, Ethan was back at his small apartment, recovering, counting bills, and sipping instant coffee that tasted more like water than warmth. Life moved on quietly, the way it always did. No cameras, no thank you cards, just another man doing what felt right. He never knew the woman's name. Until one day, an unexpected letter arrived. The envelope was thick, the paper expensive. Inside a simple note: "Chore. You don't know me, but you gave me back my life. I owe you more than words could ever repay. E.R." No address, no contact, just initials. He tucked it into his drawer, beside Lily's drawings and unpaid bills. Months passed. Then, one rainy afternoon, a black SUV pulled up outside their worn-down building. A woman stepped out, mid-40s, elegant, with eyes that had seen too much loneliness. She asked for Ethan. When he opened the door, she hesitated, her voice trembling. I think you saved my life." Ethan froze. "You're ER." She nodded. "Eleanor Rhodes, CEO of Rhodes Enterprises." Ethan blinked. The name sounded familiar. It was on billboards, company logos, and charity foundations across the city. The billionaire everyone read about but never saw. "I didn't know," he whispered. She smiled faintly. "You weren't supposed to. I didn't want money to decide who'd help me. I just wanted to believe in humanity again." For a long moment, they stood in silence. 2 people from completely different worlds, connected by a single act of kindness. In the weeks that followed, Eleanor began visiting often. Sometimes she brought books for Lily, sometimes she just sat on the couch talking with Ethan over coffee that she politely pretended to enjoy. She found comfort in their simplicity. The laughter, the warmth, the unspoken understanding that life wasn't about what you had, but who you shared it with. Ethan never asked for anything, but Eleanor quietly began helping. A better school for Lily, a small trust fund in her name, and one day, a job offer for Ethan. Not out of charity, but because she said she needed someone honest to help rebuild her company's human heart. On a quiet morning months later, Lily tugged Eleanor's sleeve and asked innocently, "Are you our family now?" Eleanor looked at Ethan, then at the little girl's hopeful eyes. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like the billionaire who had everything. She felt human again. And Ethan realized that sometimes, when you give a part of yourself away, you don't lose anything at all. You just make room for something bigger. Eleanor smiled softly at Lily's question. "Family isn't always about blood, sweetheart," she said, kneeling down to meet her eyes. "Sometimes it's about hearts that find each other when they need to." Lily grinned and wrapped her arms around her. Ethan stood behind them, a quiet smile spreading across his face, the kind that comes only from gratitude, too deep for words. That moment changed everything. Eleanor kept her promise. She made sure Ethan never had to worry again. Not out of pity, but because she saw in him something rare, the courage to give without expecting anything in return. With him by her side, she restructured her company's mission, focusing on employee welfare, healthcare support, and community outreach. When people asked why, she always said, "Because one man reminded me that kindness isn't a weakness. It's the reason we survive." The years later, when the world learned their story, millions were moved. Donations poured into organ donation programs, hospitals reported record volunteer sign-ups, and people began looking at strangers a little differently. As if anyone could be the reason someone else gets another chance at life. And as for Ethan and Lily, they found more than security. They found belonging, purpose, and the quiet strength that comes from knowing one small act of kindness can change not just a life, but the world around it. Because sometimes, the greatest miracles aren't born from wealth or power. They begin with an ordinary heart that chooses to care.